Hello, I'm Rick Springfield, and I'm at Amoeba, and this is what's in my bag.
The light that dimmed inside your eye, I whispered as I said goodbye. We are eternal, we take.
The only reason I grabbed this is because I love Queens of the Stone Age. He's an amazing guitar player. I love he's very innovative, and I love his voice. It's very kind of almost Cream. Like, they very seem very influenced by Cream to me.
Use once and destroy. Single servings of pain.
T-Rex. The reason I pulled this was because early 70s I had an album out called Comical Heroes, but I basically based it off T-Rex. I wanted to sound like T-Rex. Of course, it sounded nothing like T-Rex. He was the beginning of the whole glam thing, and the fact that he picked up an electric guitar when he was really a folkie. Love his writing and his weird voice. I love it all.
So sweet, so fair. You got the universe reclining in your head.
And this one. Yeah, this is an incredible record. This one I tried to make Working Class Dog, my first successful record. I tried to make it like this. This is power pop, very inspirational. This one, and I've got to include this one.
Sometimes I wish that I could stop you from talking when
My Aim Is True. These especially were the two albums I modeled my first successful record on.
She gets tired of love. I'm so afraid, but it's so hard to refuse. Ram bam, thank you, man.
These guys isn't one of my favorite bands.
I see you slither away with your skin in your tail, your flickering tongue and your bridle tail.
They were huge in the 80s. I have actually a really good following here. It's just, very cult, I'd say still. Well, except for Under the Milky Way, which is huge. I actually liken Kilby to Steve Kilby to Australia's Bowie. I mean, he's very similar. I'm sure he's heavily influenced by Bowie, as we all were, but it comes out to me, very obviously in his writing in this. But it's brilliant stuff.
And it's something quite peculiar.
Speaking of Aussies. This is one of my all-time favorite rock albums. I was in a band called Zoot in Australia, and we dressed in pink. And Bon was in a band called Valentines, and they dressed in red. And it was all fluffy clothes and puffy sleeves, and Bon wasn't even the lead singer, he was the second singer. And if you actually go online and look up the Valentines Knick Knack Paddywhack, you'll see Bon, long hair and fluffy clothes, doing this in the background, not even fucking singing. And they broke up, and then Bon had a little side project, and the next thing I heard about him was I was living in America, and I heard this voice coming out of the radio, and I said, "That's Bon?" Love the Kinks. I was just moved to England in 1972, and this was the new record, I believe, 76. Oh, that can't be right. Oh, it's a best of. Okay. The Celluloid Heroes is an incredible song. I mean, he's another great writer, and I focus on the writers because I write. Ray Davies is, again, one of these little freaky English dudes that came out of nowhere and wrote incrediable poetry. And of course, the first record I stole, which You Really Got Me, the 45. They didn't have it record stores. They had kind of like they sold vacuum cleaners and shit like that, and it had records as well. So I went into the vacuum store and I saw that You Really Got Me and stuck it under my coat. Valentino, he's mentioned in the Celluloid Heroes. Valentino looks very much alive as he looks up ladies' dresses as they sadly pass him by. He's talking about the star. out there. And my wife loves that song too, so I just photographed it and sent it to her.
And he looks up ladies' dresses as they sadly pass him by.
Come on, seriously? I never saw him play and I never met him, but I met girls who did. I actually had a girlfriend who borrowed one of her shirts to play in. It's the closest I ever got to Jimmy. So I don't really have any stories other than he's a god, and just can't believe how amazing he was. Shadows, you may not know them. In fact, you probably don't. But this guy is the reason for Jimmy Page, for Eric Clapton, for Ritchie Blackmore, for Brian May, for Mark Knopfler. All your English guitar gods followed this guy, Hank B. Marvin. It's all instrumental. You'd probably think of it as surf music or Clint Eastwood type Western music, but it's deeper than that. He had the first Fender Stratocaster in Europe. Jeff Beck with the tremolo arm. Gilmore with the tremolo arm. It's because of him, because he saw the tremolo arm and never played without the tremolo arm in his hand. And he used it so much that it became synonymous to us with the Strat. It wasn't just a side thing that you hit now and then or trade in for whammy bar. It was something that you actually used for notes. So honor him. Oh, I don't know the band. A band called Holy Fuck, you gotta hear that, right? All right, so I'm taking that home to see what they sound like. Have to have the Beatles. This is the trunk copy, as you know. The original one was the Butcher cover. And the only reason I pulled it out is so I had something to talk about. Because I actually have John Lennon's original Butcher cover, the prototype of the Butcher cover that he signed and did a drawing, because there was no back to it, because it was a prototype. And he did a drawing on the back and he signed it to a guy named Dave, who I got it from. I'm a collector of obscure Beatles shit. It's the only one signed by the Beatles. And it was hanging up in John's apartment in New York. And there's actually in the movie Above Us Only Sky, and there's a shot of them in the living room of the apartment, and you can see John's cover on the wall. Dave met him at a studio when he was recording after the Beatles, and he had a copy of the Decca tape. And back then, before the internet, you couldn't get it. You know, it was like John went, "Oh my God, that's our audition for Decca. You gotta have that. What do you want?" And he said, "I don't know. What do you got?" And he said, "Well, I got my Sgt. Pepper outfit, or I've got my personal copy of the Butcher cover that I can sign to you." Dave said, "Well, I'll take that." So he sent a messenger back to his apartment, grabbed the Butcher cover, and signed it to Dave right there and dated it. And then he's talking and he does this amazing drawing on the back of this kid with a dog. And then Dave got Paul to sign it and Ringo to sign it. And then Dave had a divorce, unfortunately, and lost it in the divorce. And I ended up with it. The Who, my favorite live band. Like I said, I was in a band called Zoot in Australia, and we were trying to be Australia's Who we couldn't afford to smash any of our instruments. We used to play a lot of these songs, Good's Gone, Kids All Right, Legal Matter. If you're in a band in the 60s, it's the first songs you learn. And again, because I'm a writer, he's just beyond belief. I mean, my generation at, how old was he, 20? Couldn't write that now. B.B. King. Apart from all the pop stuff, I was a giant blues, and still am a giant blues fan. And I'd say of anything, anyone who's a guitar player raised in the 60s, they're always blues-based. Certainly Jimmy Page and Clapton and all those guys all started with the blues because it was amazing, but it wasn't that difficult. as a new guitar player to learn. You know, it was, you could play the notes, you couldn't make it sound like B.B. King, but you could work the notes out. And I remember sitting by a record player trying to work out the notes and going, gee, there's only 2 notes to that. I can play that. And so it was very doable. Plus it was great stuff. And as a 16-year-old white boy, I thought, yeah, I can rep the blues here. I got it.
Lord, and I can't be satisfied.
This is the Beatles because I love them so much. This was rammed on so hard when it first came out, but you look at it now and you can see them kind of disintegrating after Brian Epstein died. And you can see Paul absolutely taking charge. The Beatles are very much like my married life. I was in charge for the first half, and now my wife's in charge for the second half. And that was how it was with the Beatles. You know, John was in charge, and then he got bored or whatever, and Paul took over. And how amazing that they had 2 guys who could do that. But this is very much Paul's project. And I was a Paul guy when I was growing up. You know, I had the boy crush and everything, and loved his writing and just wanted to be like him. But now it's John's stuff that really kind of sticks with me. Walrus and Strawberry Fields, and I can listen to them every day. They're just so deep. But you know, Paul, again, amazing writer, and I'm not dissing anybody here except for Holy Fuck. I haven't heard them yet. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it.